The arrogant CEO fell in love with a poor girl at first sight. To prove how much she meant to him, the two of them actually stayed inside a campervan without ever stepping outside, and played poker for 3 months. But one day, out of the blue, the girl disappeared without a trace. In order to wait for the girl he loved, Jae-won went to their meeting place every week to keep watch. Whenever he thought of the sweet moments they once shared, Jae-won couldn't bear the blow of the breakup. Every time he would drink himself into a stupor. When his longing reached its peak, even in his dreams there was only Seon-ah. But that was not the dream he thought it was. Seon-ah looked with full heartache at this man in front of her, who loved her to the bone. Before she knew it, her eyes had reddened. She saw that Jae-won was still wearing their wedding ring. The two had promised not to take it off even until death. But now she herself had broken the promise. Jae-won sadly expressed his longing to Seon-ah.
나 잊어주면 안 돼?
어떻게 잊어 너를. 우리 결혼했는데.
장난이었잖아.
아니야. 나는 장난 아니었어. 이거 봐. 나 이거 한 번도 뺀 적 없어.
미안해.
너 잘 살기는 해? 진짜로? 와, 네가 잘 살다니까 왜 이렇게 짜증이 나냐? 나는 망가져가고 있거든.
1 year ago, innocent Jae-won, while traveling, fell in love at first sight with the warm and cheerful Seon-ah. Seon-ah taught him how to drive. He taught Seon-ah how to surf. Unexpectedly, Seon-ah suddenly bumped her head. Attentive Jae-won carefully applied medicine for her and dried her hair. Just then, Jae-won's hand accidentally touched Seon-ah's lips. The atmosphere between them instantly became ambiguous. After that, they played poker together. Jae-won thought he had found his soulmate, but he didn't expect Seon-ah to be intimate with others as well. Jae-won realized he had been played, and felt very disappointed. But what made Jae-won even more disappointed was yet to come. Seon-ah said she was going to watch a movie with another guy, and completely left Jae-won aside to play with others. The ignored Jae-won had to eat lunch alone. That day he overheard that Seon-ah had twisted her foot while ice skating with someone else. The pathetic Jae-won immediately went to get the medicine kit. Not long after, Jae-won heard that Seon-ah had learned to do a bottom turn on a wave. He instantly felt deeply hurt. Just as he was sitting on the beach feeling wronged and sulking, Seon-ah deliberately came over and lay down to sleep beside him. The pitiful Jae-won couldn't help but complain. He wanted to teach Seon-ah the bottom turn himself, but he was afraid she would get hurt. So he had been observing the waves all along, but Seon-ah had already learned it. Seon-ah didn't speak. Jae-won looked unhappy, but he gently took off his hat and shielded her from the glaring sunlight. After a long time, Jae-won waited in vain for an explanation from Seon-ah. The next second, he angrily put the hat over Seon-ah's face, turned around, and left indignantly. After returning to the campervan, he unexpectedly learned from the guy that the two of them had not gone to watch a movie together. Jae-won was overjoyed in his heart. So his own cabbage hadn't been rooted up by a pig after all. Soon Jae-won hid under the window and apologized to Seon-ah, and asked her to go to the fields to watch the rain the next day. Seon-ah was late because of work. Jae-won looked at the empty surroundings, extremely disappointed. Just as he had left a moment ago, Seon-ah arrived right after him. Because she didn't want to miss Jae-won, Seon-ah took a shortcut and stopped his car on the road he had to take.
너 안 오는 줄 알았잖아.
원래 안 가서 다행이다.
내가 좀만 더 기다릴 거야.
The two of them, in the camper van, began to enjoy wonderful meals and all for seasons together. They rode bicycles together, surfed together, not only played in the rain, but also went to the wilderness to paint each other's nails. Seon-ah didn't hide her love for Jae-won in front of others. She even held a wedding just for the two of them. Unexpectedly, Jae-won had actually prepared a pair of wedding rings. She thought it was just going through the motions for fun, but didn't expect him to be so serious. Seon-ah embraced Jae-won affectionately. They promised each other never to take off the rings even until death. Romantic vows are the deadliest poison, because Jae-won had something urgent and needed to return to Seoul first. Before leaving, he repeatedly urged Seon-ah to contact him after she went back. If she forgot, then meet him at the agreed place every Saturday at 10 o'clock. Unexpectedly, after that, Seon-ah vanished without a trace, and took away the camera that held their shared memories. Trapped in this, Jae-won often drank himself into a drunken stupor. Every time he was drunk, he would go to the police station to report it. The police officers beside him were used to it, because in 1 year Jae-won had already come to the police station 5 times.
이 나쁜 카메라 도둑을 신고합니다. 카메라만 갖고 간 게 아니라 내 마음도 가져.
After being tortured by heartbreak for a year, Jae-won came to Gyeonggi-echeon again. He missed Seon-ah so much. But he couldn't go on like this, so dejected. Jae-won took off the ring, preparing to say goodbye to Seon-ah for good. Just then he saw Seon-ah. Jae-won couldn't believe it. For a moment, Jae-won thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. Only when Seon-ah came to her senses and ran away, did he realize that this was not an illusion. So he chased after her with all his might, pounced on Seon-ah and held her tightly in his arms. This time, no matter what, he would not let her escape again. Just as it happened, a police officer on patrol nearby saw this. Learning that the girl in front of him was the camera thief Seon-ah, he immediately decided to arrest her. Jae-won was completely dumbfounded.
됐어 이제. 갑시다.
Inside the police station, caught red-handed, Seon-ah was extremely nervous. Jae-won immediately held her hand tightly to comfort her. The police officer needed to register Seon-ah's identity information, but she dawdled and was unwilling to cooperate, because she was afraid that her real identity would be exposed in front of Jae-won. Quick-eyed and swift-handed, Jae-won snatched the ID card. He couldn't wait to find out Seon-ah's address, but the result left him stunned.
야 이거. 야. 이게 뭐냐고 이게.
The police officer beside him was confused.
이은호? 윤선아 어디 갔어? 너 윤선아 맞아?
At that moment, Jae-won was completely in a rage. He demanded to know how many lies Seon-ah had told him. The lover he had been searching for a whole year turned out to be a liar. Jae-won couldn't accept such a fact. At this moment he finally let go. This relationship that had been lies from beginning to end. Jae-won left in anger. Uno immediately chased after him out the door, but Jae-won didn't want to pay her any attention at all. In desperation, Uno could only sprint and follow him, completely unaware of the motorcycle behind her. She fell hard to the ground. Seeing this in his rearview mirror, Jae-won immediately and pathetically stopped the car and rushed to check Uno's injuries. It turned out that Uno had only chased after him to return the camera. This made the already hurt Jae-won even angrier. In a fit of rage, he smashed the camera that held their sweet memories to pieces.
너는 반지 이미 뺐더라. 아까 같이 수갑 차면서 네 손가락에 반지 없는 거 보고 내 마음이.
Then Jae-won took off the wedding ring that he had sworn never to remove even until death, and cruelly threw it into Gyeonggi-echeon, where they used to meet. He turned around heartlessly, got into his car, and drove away. It turned out that 1 year ago, Uno had a boyfriend she was about to marry. She secretly came to the wedding house she had with her boyfriend in Busan, intending to give him a surprise. But when she opened the door, she saw another woman, and a man wearing matching couple pajamas. And the reason her boyfriend gave was that she was too ordinary and boring. Just like that, Seon-ah fled from this suffocating place. The next day, after sorting out her feelings, she went to report to the company, only to be told that her previous admission had been cancelled. Because she was ordinary and plain, this reminded Uno of Seon-ah, who had interviewed together with her that day. She was very vibrant, had permed exaggerated hair, faced the examiners without any fear, and had superb social skills. The well-behaved and quiet Uno was deeply crushed. She suddenly realized that she was 30 and still ordinary, had achieved nothing. Her life was simply terrible. She couldn't help but break down and cry bitterly. She came alone to a small island, determined to completely say goodbye to her insecure, hesitant, quiet and well-behaved self. She stole Seon-ah's name, imitated Seon-ah's lively and cheerful personality, and fell in love with the innocent Jae-won. She had once thought about confessing everything to Jae-won.
윤선아가 아니지.
Jae-won's answer made Uno lose all hope. He liked only Yoon Seon-ah, not the real Lee Uno. So after the two parted ways, she completely cut off contact with Jae-won. At the same time, the police officer from earlier, on his way home from work, found Uno shining a flashlight in the stream. On that bitterly cold winter night, Uno was actually in the freezing icy stream, searching for the ring that Jae-won had thrown away. At that moment, the necklace around her neck gave off a dazzling light. It turned out that Uno had not thrown away that wedding ring, but had made it into a necklace and wore it with her. Having found the ring, Uno was as happy as a child. This was the fruit of her and Jae-won's love. Later, Jae-won also returned to look for the ring, but obviously came back empty-handed. Jae-won returned home, blaming himself for losing control of his emotions, worried that he had scared Seon-ah, and in order to escape the pain of her feelings, Seon-ah chose to numb herself with work. But when she got home, she behaved out of character, shouting and yelling. Even watching comedies made her cry especially sadly. And she would occasionally talk to herself. Her friends worried that she might be having mental problems. So they thought of quickly finding her a project. Maybe if she started working, she would become normal again. Unexpectedly, Jae-won's cousin introduced Seonara's project proposal to Jae-won. From the documents fell an inconspicuous business card. Jae-won picked it up and felt it looked familiar. Suddenly he remembered that Seonara's ID card also had this name. Could it really be a coincidence? How did his cousin know Seonara? So he quickly found the project plan. Even the address on the document was the same. Jae-won panicked. He dialed the phone number. On the other end came Uno's voice. But at the same time he also heard another man's voice. Jae-won was so angry that he couldn't sleep the whole night. The next day, a depressed Jae-won called his cousin to question him. The cousin was completely confused. But he still told him everything about Uno. 1 year ago, Uno quit her job to follow her boyfriend. Unexpectedly, her boyfriend was already living with someone else. Even her newly found job was cancelled. After becoming homeless, she disappeared for 3 months. When she reappeared, her personality had changed drastically. Seeing that Jae-won was very interested in Uno, the cousin hinted that they were having a barbecue party on the weekend. And if he had time he could come and learn more in person. Before leaving, Jae-won asked if Uno was living with a man. The cousin explained that he was her co-worker. They were just roommates. After hearing that, Jae-won's mood instantly improved. The next day, Jae-won came as invited. Finding Jae-won suddenly appearing, Uno was so nervous that she didn't know what to do. She thought Jae-won would reveal how she had deceived him in love. Unexpectedly, Jae-won pretended not to know her. Jae-won tightly held Uno's hand and refused to let go. Finally, the cousin couldn't stand it anymore and had to forcibly separate them. The cousin unexpectedly noticed that the ring Jae-won had always been wearing on his hand was gone, and asked him what was going on. Jae-won smiled bitterly and said he had thrown it away, because everything about that girl was fake. Yet his eyes looked affectionately toward Uno. At the dinner table, everyone kept criticizing the thief who stole the camera. Jae-won even took the initiative to ask Uno what she thought about this matter. Uno said that she would not share her relationship with friends. Jae-won became more and more agitated as he spoke, almost losing control of his emotions. The others looked at him in confusion, mistakenly thinking that he hadn't yet recovered from the trauma of heartbreak, and they comforted him that he would surely meet a better girl. Just then, Uno's colleague suddenly mentioned the necklace around her neck. Everyone curiously asked Uno what was the story behind the couple ring on her neck. To hide the secret, Uno excused herself to go to the bathroom and fled. Uno wondered how Jae-won had found out her address. How much else did he know about her? Jae-won then snatched the planning document from his cousin's hand, using the chance to give it to Uno, wanting to create some time alone with her. Jae-won wanted to know why Uno had used the false identity of Seonara to deceive his feelings. He even more wanted to figure out why Uno kept hiding from him. Insecure Uno refused to say anything. She didn't want Jae-won to know about her foolish past.
이런 성격이었구나. 이전에는 그랬는데.
Jae-won's words deeply pierced Uno's heart. It was precisely because her real self was ordinary, mediocre, and timid, that she was so insecure she didn't even have the courage to go after love. The heartbroken Uno drowned her sorrows in alcohol. And after returning home, Jae-won was full of regret. He shouldn't have said such harsh words to Uno. Clearly, they had been so happy back then. After downing an entire bottle of liquor, Uno dragged her suitcase, and once again wandered aimlessly on the street. Drunk, she decided to run away again. So she boarded a bus once more. Her mind was filled with images of Jae-won. Under the influence of alcohol, Uno took out her phone and found Jae-won's number, and cried in self-pity. Jae-won saw that his phone had received a few unfamiliar text messages. With doubt, Jae-won dialed the number. The person who answered was the bus driver. Uno on the bus was already passed out drunk. Jae-won suddenly realized something. He quickly rummaged through his bag and found Uno's business card. Then he compared it with the number on his phone. Immediately he sped off by car to the bus terminal. The next day, Uno woke up and found herself lying in her ex-boyfriend's house. Seeing Jae-won outside the door, Uno recalled that last night it was Jae-won who had picked her up from the bus. She was instantly so dumbfounded by her own amazing maneuver that she wanted to cry. Uno planned to sneak away irresponsibly, but unexpectedly, the doorbell rang. She had no choice but to quickly hide in a corner. Little did she know that Jae-won had already seen all of this. In order to go along with Uno, Jae-won simply didn't expose her little trick. Just then, Uno's phone suddenly rang. Jae-won snatched the phone. In a forceful tone, he said that Uno was with him right now. and very rudely hung up the phone. The colleague was completely dumbfounded. Uno demanded to know by what right Jae-won treated her friend like that. Jae-won retorted arrogantly, "I learned it all from you." He wanted to have a proper talk with Uno, but Uno told Jae-won to forget her.
나 하랬잖아. 너도 그랬잖아.
아니야, 난 재미로 한 거 아니야. 난 진심이었어.
아니잖아.
너 왜 이렇게 뻔뻔하냐? 너 양양에선 안 그랬잖아.
그래, 윤선아. 윤선아는 답답하지도 않고 뻔뻔하지도 않고 엄청 괜찮았겠지. 걔는 끝까지 좋았겠지. 근데 내가 윤선아가 아니잖아. 내 성격, 내 생각, 내 취향.
Thus the two parted on bad terms. Soon after, it suddenly started raining outside. Seeing the rain outside, thinking that Uno didn't have an umbrella, he hastily drove after her. The two had just had a fight. Uno didn't want to stay with Jae-won. Jae-won, with ulterior motives, said that he wouldn't lend his umbrella to a hated ex. Then he domineeringly pulled Uno into the car. The two sat in the car. Jae-won suddenly lowered the seat back. Uno was startled. Uno realized she had been fooled and wanted to leave right away. Jae-won quickly grabbed her
진짜 이번에 성질 진짜 들었네. 윤선아는 성질을 좀 내긴 했어도 엄청 귀여웠는데.
and casually played the music they often listened to when they were in love. Jae-won stared at Uno infatuatedly. Uno felt very uncomfortable, so she wanted to change the song. This made Uno's heart both sweet and ticklish. She simply couldn't bring herself to hate Jae-won. At night, Jae-won secretly searched Uno's social media. He discovered that Uno had always been recording their past. Uno also said that it was those times that had kept her going forward. Jae-won suddenly realized that he didn't know Uno at all. Yet Uno had always deeply loved him. So he deliberately damaged Uno's car light, wanting to use this as an excuse to contact Uno. Unexpectedly, Uno was right behind him. She quietly watched Jae-won perform. Knowing he was in the wrong, Jae-won quickly apologized.
박은 것도 잘못했어. 그리고 내가 박재원인 것도 내가 잘못했고 그냥 네가 엑스와이프인 것도 내가 다 잘못했어.
너.
Hearing that, Uno got even angrier. She told Jae-won not to mention it again. Jae-won became anxious. "It was you who seduced me first," he said. The two argued incessantly. Enraged, Uno kicked Jae-won's car. Just then, Uno's ring suddenly fell off and rolled to Jae-won's feet. Jae-won recognized at a glance that it was their wedding ring. So Uno had never lost it, and had also picked up his. Jae-won was sure that Uno still loved him.
나와봐.
아니라니까? 응?
너 진짜 뭐야? 너 왜 이렇게 나를 힘들게 하냐? 나 아직 좋아하자.
But after the two calmed down, Uno said she regretted kissing Jae-won, and even more regretted picking up the ring. This time Jae-won completely broke down. After returning home, he cursed Uno as a big villain. He had painstakingly searched for Uno for a year, only to be dumped in the end. Jae-won was so angry he couldn't sleep all night. He directly took out his phone and dialed Uno's number. Unexpectedly, Uno hung up immediately. Unwilling to give up, Jae-won called again, putting on the strongest, toughest attitude to show off. But Uno casually brushed him off with a couple of words and hung up again. Believing that things shouldn't be done 3 times, Jae-won called back once more. Finally, Uno gave Jae-won a chance to communicate. Jae-won said that after meeting Uno, he had done all kinds of crazy things, but he had never regretted it. Uno also confessed that meeting Jae-won, she also had no regrets. She even felt very grateful to Jae-won, because when they met, it was the most miserable time in her life when she most needed to be loved. But she didn't want to go back to being the quiet and foolish Lee Uno of before, nor did she want to keep pretending to be the lively and cheerful Yoon Seon-ah. More than getting back together, what was more important now was understanding herself. Hearing this, Jae-won not only didn't get angry, but rather felt that Uno's desire to find her true self was very admirable. He respected Uno's decision and returned the suitcase she had left behind when drunk. And inside he also put a necklace. Uno also returned the camera full of their memories. They decided to completely say goodbye to the past. At night, Uno also gathered her courage and proactively confessed to her friends about her disappearance a year ago, and the love story where she pretended to be Seon-ah. She had originally planned to keep this secret hidden in her heart forever. But having decided to embrace a new life, she didn't want to keep running away or cover up this scar. To Uno's surprise, upon learning the truth, her friends only felt pity for her. It turned out that all along, Uno had been bearing all of this alone. They liked the old Uno, and also liked the current Uno who loves to cry and laugh. In the end, the 3 of them hugged each other and cried bitterly. The next day, Uno went to work full of confidence. Her rigorous logic and fresh ideas won J1's approval. The two conducted business as business, without mixing in any personal feelings. But seeing Uno's empty neck, J1 couldn't help feeling disappointed inside. In the evening, Uno took the initiative to find J1. She took out the necklace but didn't put it on directly. Instead, she asked J1 that she was still timid and clumsy, and that she might become even more dispirited in the future.
이런 나라도 괜찮아?
옛날에 착하고 얌전했던 이은호도, 내가 만나 사랑했던 윤선아도, 그리고 지금 내 눈앞에 나타난 이은호도 너는 그냥 다 너야. 다 이은호야. 내가 사랑했던 그 사람은 여전히 네 안에 있어.
J1 proactively put the necklace on Uno and kissed Uno. And so, the love between the arrogant CEO and the good girl finally came to fruition.